Hello students and welcome to the lecture. So students, as we know that we are covering the key national institutions and in the previous lectures we had done with the FSSAI, Food Safety and Standard Authority of India. In this lecture basically we are going to start with another important key national institution and the experiment which we had introduced in the lecture of FSSAI, which means the index. The same experiment will be continued in the upcoming lectures. Okay, so basically in this lecture we are going to start with the ISRO, and the topics which we are going to cover in the lecture of ISRO are the introduction, establishment and vision, key objectives and the function. Thereafter, launch vehicle deployment, satellite deployment, space exploration, international cooperations, upcoming projects and compositions. So these are the topics basically we are going to cover under the key national institution lectures of ISRO. Okay, so let's start. So basically we are going to cover with the ISRO and we will follow the same norm which we have been followed throughout the entire series of the key national institutions, which means first start with the full form, second start with the establishment year, third start with the parent ministry. Okay, so let's start. So basically if we talk about the full form of ISRO, then it stands for the Indian Space Research Organization. Okay. Second, if we talk about the establishment year, establishment year, then basically it was established on 15th August 1969. Okay. And if we talk about the parent ministry, then ISRO basically works under the Department of Space, which comes under PMO, which means Prime Minister's Office. Okay, so you can say ISRO directly comes under the Prime Minister or the head of the government. Okay, so these are the basic details. Start with the full form. It stands for the Indian Space Research Organization. Thereafter, the establishment year. It was established on 15th August 1969. Thereafter, the parent ministry. Its parent ministry is basically the department, which is Department of Space, which is directly comes under the Prime Minister office. Okay. Now, let's have a look on the paragraph we have here. The Indian Space Research Organization or ISRO is India's premier space agency responsible for space exploration, satellite development and various space related activities. Now basically, now I have a question for you. What do you mean by space exactly? If I'm asking you what do you mean by space, how should you answer this question? Okay, and place, or you can say a place with three-dimensional extent of things placed with having a definite position and direction and the space, or you can say, and the space basically a complete vacuum where things are infinite and limitless. So it is the standard definition of word space. It is a place which is of the three-dimensional extent. It means that everything is in the object form. Whether it's planets, stars, is other celestial bodies, everything is in the object form. And they place with a definite position and the direction. Like if we talk about the solar system. Then this is the sun. Okay. And thereafter, there are total 8 planets. Now all these planets are at the definite position. It means the distance, and they are revolving in a definite direction. It means that they having a definite direction. Okay. Similarly, other things also which are present in the space having the definite position and the direction. And the space basically a complete vacuum. It means that it does not have anything like solid, liquid and gas. It is a complete vacuum. Now you will say the planets are the solid. There are various gases found on these planets. Even if we talk about the earth, we have liquid like a water. Then how we could say that space is a complete vacuum? Basically, when we talk about the space, we are not talking about the components it have. Okay. So suppose if these planets are the solid, they having gas and liquids on them, but in their midway where the space lies, there is nothing like solid, liquid and gases, and it is complete vacuum, and things in the space are infinite and limitless. It means that we are not able to say the space is this long. We do not know how longer the things are and what is the boundary basically of the universe. Okay. So this is the basic definition of the space. Remember this point. Okay. So ISRO is basically a premier space agency responsible for space exploration, satellite deployment and various space related activities. Basically, we want to explore the space so that we could find out numerous potential activities or potential things hidden out in space. For this, we required a proper exploration. For this, we required a satellite. And for this, we required a space-related activities. That's why we established the ISRO. Okay. As a prominent organization for competitive exams, it's crucial to have a detailed understanding of ISRO, its achievements, mission, and contribution to the nation's space program. Basically, asked in the exam. Examination. Okay. This could be asked from the current affairs point of view and could be asked from the static point of view. Okay, like suppose if ISRO had conducted some mission and this mission was success or failed, whatever it is, this will comes under the news. Okay, and when it comes in the news, it covers the part of current affairs. Okay, but If the question has not been asked from the current affairs point of view, then it will ask from the static point of view, because ISRO is very important, because space is very important. Okay. Now let's talk about the establishment and the vision. So ISRO was established on August 15, 1969 with its headquarters located in Bangalore, Karnataka, India. Headquartered at Bangalore. And if we talk about the person who is known as the father of Indian space program and also known as the father of ISRO, basically, then what should be the answer? Who is known as the father of Indian space program? The answer is Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. He was the one who started the Indian space program. Okay, as a result of which now we had ISRO at Bangalore in Karnataka. Okay, and ISRO also having its Antrix Corporation Limited, which is known as ACL. Now what does ACL means? ACL basically works for the marketing and commercial services offered by the ISRO. Okay, so that's why ISRO having the Antrix Corporation Limited, which is works as the marketing and commercial services offered by the ISRO, and you can say it is a service arm of ISRO, which is work to promote the marketing and commercial services. Now you will ask, is ISRO also does the commercial services for the other countries or for the outside player? Then the answer is yes. Why? Because if we talk about the satellite, we will talk about satellite in detail in this lecture. Now I'm just giving you the introduction. So satellite is basically a machine to read space and carry out space related activities. Okay, now the question is, this satellite must be go to the space, then only it will be able to do the space related activities studies. Okay, so the launching of the satellite is basically a crucial thing because it required a proper launcher. How? I will tell you in this lecture. Till now just remember, it required a proper launcher. So basically ISRO provides the launcher services or the technology, which is a commercial part. Because suppose if the country A wants to satellite, if there is a country A which wants to launch a satellite X to the market, then this country requires a proper launcher and it does not have it. Now they will reach the ISRO after seeing the commercialization of ISRO, after seeing the marketing strategy and technology of ISRO, then they will give some money to ISRO, which is the fees charged by ISRO for launching of this satellite. This kind of conditions are basically known as the commercial activities. And this is handled by ACL, Antrix Corporation Limited, which is the marketing and commercial arm of ISRO. Okay. The vision of ISRO is to harness space technology for national development while pursuing space science research and planetary exploration. Now it's my humble request to you all, kindly write down this thing again and again. because it is the vision of ISRO. And it is not only important from the examination point of view, but also from the Indian point of view. Because when we talk about the ISRO, basically we're talking about a prominent space agency in this world, not only in India. And if we are the Indians and we are talking about the Indian agency, then we must be aware about the vision of that agency, which is harness space technology for national development while pursuing space science research and planetary exploration. Okay. Now, let me tell you one thing. When the Indian space program started in 1960s under the leadership of Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. Vikram Sarabhai, basically it is divided into three distinct phases. Okay, and these phases are A, B, and C. First phase is communication satellites and remote sensing. Okay, second phase is space transportation system. Okay, and the third is application of space programs. Okay, so these are the three distinct phases in which the space program was started: communication satellites and remote sensing, space transport system, and the application of space programs. Let's discuss them one by one. So if we talk about the first one, which is the communication and remote sensing satellites. Okay, so suppose this is the Earth. You are standing here. Your friend is standing here. Okay, now you want to communicate with him. You will use the internet or mobile to communicate with him. This is comes under the term communication. How you will do it? Obviously, you required a channel which catches your messages and passes it over there. That's why the satellites are required. Okay, so when you will try to communicate with him, the satellite will receive your signal, thereafter deflect it to the receiver. You are the sender in this case. This is the receiver in this case. And this is basically a communication channel. Okay, so first kind of satellites were basically the communication satellites, which we required to establish the communication lines. To establish the communication lines. And their work was first receive the messages from the sender, then deflect it towards the receiver. Okay, thereafter, if we talk about the remote sensing satellites, then basically it means as satellites used for knowing the place map, or geography. Okay, suppose this is a land. Okay, there may be a mountains. Okay, there may be a ocean or river, whatever. Okay, there may be a forest. Okay, whatever could be there. How you will be able to find out? Should you go there? No, we could use the satellite. A satellite which will help us to study the topography or the geographical area clearly. These type of satellites are basically known as the remote sensing satellites. So these were the first features of the Indian space program. Okay, thereafter the next one was the space transportation system. Okay, now that was the earth, that was the satellite we were using. Okay, earth basically a planet, but the satellite we were using is in the space. Okay, it means that if the satellite is in the space, it has been transported to the space, and this required a launcher to launch a satellite in the space. Okay, I will tell you about the launchers in this lecture. Till then, just remember we have developed a various launchers which are used to transport the satellite in the space. This was the second distinct feature. Now let's talk about the third feature, which was the application of space program. Okay, suppose this is the earth, this is the satellite we are using. Okay, so the operator who is sitting in the control room, which is on the earth, and communicating with the satellite which is in the space, it means that there must be some application or way to communicate with the satellite, to give the instructions to the satellite, and to gather the complete information from the satellite. So this is the application of space program, which is the third distinct feature. All right, thereafter in the same era we had developed the INCOS pair, which basically means Indian National Committee for Space Research. Indian National Committee for Space Research, and basically it was under the leadership of Dr. Vikram Sarabhai and Dr. Omi Bhava. These were the two leaders of the Indian National Committee for Space Research. Okay, and if we talk about the objectives of INCOSPER, objectives of in cost per. Then basically deployment of science and technology at faster rate. Okay. Thereafter, indigenous technology for space-based applications. Third, collaboration with other national and international organizations. Fourth, educational training and expertise for the indigenous deployment of space hardware. Okay, so these were the main domains in which the INSCOSPER were working. Like first, they promoted the development of science and technology at faster rate so that the Indian space program could be paced up. Second, they focus on the indigenous technology. Like now you are listening Atmanirbhar Bharat, right? Atmanirbhar Bharat, which means the self-sufficient immunity, right? So they were also focusing on the self-sufficiency. It means that the technology, the expertise required to operate a space program effectively and efficiently should be indigenous or made within the India, so that we are not required to dependent on the other countries for our needs. Okay. Third is the collaboration with other national and international organizations so that a fully inclusive approach could be adopted. And the fourth, which is very important, it means that educational training and expertise. Training and expertise for the indigenous deployment of space hardware should be, you can say, obtained within the India. Okay, because the space hardware and the space software both are important. Why? The software will help you to establish a contact between the controller from the earth to the satellite from the space. But the space hardware is required to launch the satellite in the space and to maintain the satellite in the space. That's why both the things are important. All right. So these were the main objectives of INCOSPER. Okay. So students, basically in this lecture, we have discussed several facts about the ISRO, and basically it's just a starting. Okay. I hope that you have learned some new facts about ISRO and some things became clear in your mind. In the next lecture, we will continue with the ISRO part. We will cover the other aspects. Till then, just revise the facts and figures we have discussed in this lecture so that you are able to grasp the facts and figures we will discuss in the another lecture. With this note, let's end this lecture and thank you.